I kind of just forget that I have this book and that it even exists. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know, my name is Faith and thank you so much for watching. 1 year ago today, roughly, I did an official count of my physical TBR and I had 66 books on my physical TBR. I've seen some other people with like 100, 200 plus books, so to some people 66 might not seem like a lot, but to me it definitely did. Over the last year I've been trying to get my physical TBR as low as possible, and overall I think I did okay. Of the 66 books on my physical TBR last year, only 27 of them are still on my physical TBR, and guys, I think that deserves a round of applause. That being said, my physical TBR is not 27 because I have bought books within the last year that I still have not read. As of today, I have books on my physical TBR. Joke's on you, you gotta wait till the end of the video to find out. But for now, let's go through every single book on my physical TBR. Well, let's go ahead and start with sci-fi. First up, we have The Lost World by Michael Crichton. I did read Jurassic Park within the last 12 months. However, I don't know why, I just never got around to reading The Lost World. I actually have quite a few dinosaur or paleontology books on my physical TBR and my made-up TBR that I just haven't bought yet. So I'm actually thinking about doing like a dinosaur month where I just read books about dinosaurs or paleontologists. And that is probably when I will read this book. And then we have State of Fear by Michael Crichton. Last year I said I don't know what this book is about. All I know is that it's written by the same guy who wrote Jurassic Park, and that is still true. I still have no idea what this book is about. However, last year I hadn't read a single Michael Crichton book, and this year I have now read 2, and I loved them both. So hopefully I love this book, whatever it's about. And then we have Dune. I've tried reading this before and I struggled so much, so I think I'm gonna have to just try the audiobook. And this one will definitely be coming off the TBR this year because I will be reading it before Dune 3 comes out. Also, don't come for me for having the movie tie-in cover, please. And while those 3 were all on my physical TBR last year, I do have one that wasn't. And that would be Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. I've heard so many good things about this book and it just sounds so good. Also, I love the cover and the spine design. I'm hoping to get to this one relatively soon. And then moving on to horror slash thriller slash mystery, and all of these were on the physical TBR last year, guys. First, we have Stalker by Faye Kellerman. I enjoy the psychological thriller aspect of reading about a stalker just because it is something that does actually terrify me. However, because it also does genuinely terrify me, I don't like reading about stalkers unless it's like a stalker in a romance book where, you know, he's obsessed with her because he's in love with her in like a non-creepy way. I guess it still is a creepy way in romance, but like it's romance, so the vibes are just completely different is kind of what I'm trying to say. For the most part, I'm a mood reader, so I'm hoping during like Halloween season I'll be in the mood to read some horror thrillers, and this will hopefully be one of them. And then we have Insomnia by Stephen King. Last year I had 3 Stephen King books on my physical TBR. However, I have read 2 of them. That being said, didn't really like either of them. I enjoy Stephen King's movies, but I just do not like his writing at all. So I am really hesitant to read this book considering it's massive and I didn't like the other 2 books that I read by him. And I think the thing that I really don't like about his writing is how he's so unnecessarily overly descriptive. And yeah, based on the size of this, I'm assuming this book is no different than that. However, I do have a rule where if I purchase the book, I do have to at least give it a try. So I will definitely at least start this book. Whether I finish it, we will see. And lastly, we have And There He Kept Her by Joshua Moling. This book is about 2 teenagers who break into a house and then I'm pretty sure they find something they weren't supposed to find and turns into this big horror mystery after that. At least that's my understanding of what this will be. And I've actually seen quite a few movies with that sort of premise and I do enjoy it, so hopefully I enjoyed this book. And this is another one that I will probably try to read sometime around Halloween. And moving on to fantasy and romantasy. Again, we're going to start with the books that I had on my TBR last year as well. First up, we've got the entire Game of Thrones series. This one I am actually intentionally not reading. I do not want to start the series until I know for sure what is going to happen with that next book. Whether it be a release date being announced or whether it be announced that, hey, that next book is never going to happen. Because I don't want to start the series and then end it and still be left hanging on, oh, will it come out, will it not? I really need that to be a definite yes or no. Even if it's a, hey, this will never be completed, I can start it knowing that, and so I know I will never read a completed series. So I probably will not be reading these for a while. And then we have the Heroes of Olympus series. Yes, some are paperback and some are hardcover. No, I don't know why. I promise it bothers me more than it bothers you. I kind of just haven't been super in the mood to get back into this universe. That being said, the audiobooks for these books are all available on Libby, and I do a lot of driving for my job, so I actually am thinking about just getting the audiobooks on Libby and listening to them while I'm working, but we will see. And then I have 2 Percy Jackson short story books. I haven't read these yet because I'm pretty sure they're supposed to be read sometime between the books in the Heroes of Olympus series, so I probably will read these whenever I'm reading those. And then we have The Hurricane Wars by Thea Guanzon. So sorry if I mispronounced that. This one I actually did start a few months ago, however I did DNF it. I was in a reading slump at the time and just could not get into it, so I definitely will be giving it another chance, and hopefully the next time I try and read it I am able to finish it. And then we have The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. I think that 8 of the last 12 months I have said, oh, I'm gonna read this book this month, and as you can see, that never happened. The number one thing holding me back from reading this right now is that I've heard that this book is really, really, really good, but the second one is really, really disappointing. And I'm not even going to sit here and say, oh, I'm going to try and read it this year, because last year I said that probably 50 times and it was never read. And I have gotten the rest of the fantasy and romantasy books within the last 12 months. The Princess Knight by Kate Jacobs. I'd been looking for this one for a while, but my Barnes & Noble was sold out of it for months, but they finally got it back in stock, so obviously I had to grab it while I could. I've heard really good things about this book and it sounds so good, so I'm so excited to read this one. And then we have the Kindred's Curse Saga. I've actually been holding off on reading these because the 4th book in the series has been so up in the air about when it will come out. Like, I'm pretty sure I heard that at one point there was a release date and then it just never got released, and then it's pretty much been radio silent since. However, a few days ago, the release date for book 4 was announced. And if I remember correctly, it comes out this year, so I will definitely be reading these before that comes out. And then we have The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. I want to get into more high and epic fantasy, and to my understanding, that's exactly what this book is. I had also been eyeing this book in bookstores for well over a year before I eventually got it, and it sounds really good, and hopefully I get to it this year. And then we have Direbound by Sable Sorensen. This book is actually on my April TBR because I thought it came out in April. However, apparently it comes out on May 5th. And I really want to read this before book 2 comes out, so if I don't read it this month, it will be my first read of May. And then we have An Arcane Inheritance by Camilla Cole. I actually just got this about a week ago in my first ever PR package. Thank you, Aardvark Book Club. I've seen random pictures of this book just scrolling through Instagram, but I actually didn't know what it was about until it was sent to me, and I'm really glad that it was because it sounds so good. And for the last fantasy romantasy, we have Firebird by Juliet Cross. I actually just saw a post yesterday and it looks like book 2 just came out or is about to come out. So I actually am going to try to read this relatively soon, and hopefully I actually do. And moving on to nonfiction, I had all of these on my physical TBR last year. No Limits by Michael Phelps. I got this during my very last swim season and I intended on reading it during that season, but clearly I never did. And while I still love swimming with my whole heart, I just haven't really felt motivation to read it since I'm not swimming anymore. But someday it will be read. And then we have Nuking the Moon by Vince Houghton. So sorry, don't know how to say it. I thought that this was a conspiracy theory book, and until literally 10 seconds ago, I'm realizing that's not what this is. Apparently, it's about a bunch of top secret missions that were supposed to happen but didn't because they were either too dangerous or things went wrong. And I gotta be honest, that sounds way cooler than a conspiracy theory book, so I actually might have to read this one soon. And the last nonfiction book is The Fossil Hunter by Shelley Emling. This was a gift to me from my swim coach during my final season of swimming, and I love dinosaurs and Mary Anning, so honestly, I don't know why I haven't gotten to this yet. However, if I do end up doing that whole dinosaur month that I mentioned at the beginning of this video, that is probably when I will read this book. And now we're moving into the final genre, romance. These first few were on my physical TBR last year as well. Girl Abroad by Elle Kennedy. I got this before I did a semester abroad in London. I intended to read it before and then I intended to read it during, but while I was there I was too busy traveling and wasn't really in the mood to read, so I just never got to it. And as you can see, I still haven't gotten to it, but someday I will. Then we have The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. I accidentally read The American Roommate Experiment because I didn't realize that that was technically a sequel to this book, and I actually really enjoyed it, so I have no idea why this is still on my physical TBR and I haven't read it yet. Hopefully I will read this sometime this summer. And then we have Maybe Now by Colleen Hoover. Last year I think I had 7 Colleen Hoover books still on my physical TBR, and now we're only down to 1. That being said, the other 6 of those Colleen Hoover books were all DNF'd by page 30. So we'll see how this goes. Like I said earlier, if I bought it, I have to give it a chance. And we'll see how that goes. And the rest of these romance books I have gotten within the last 12 months. Broken Pieces and Broken Deal by Yin Gueros. I read False Play by her and I absolutely loved it. And this series was her debut series, and they're actually billionaire romances, and guys, I love a good billionaire romance. So I'm really looking forward to these. And then we have The Lovers by Kristen Cast. I have seen this all over my feed for the last few months. And I was in Washington a few weeks ago and we took a day trip to Victoria, Canada, and we went into this really pretty bookstore there. And so obviously I had to get something, and I saw this on the shelf and I actually hadn't seen it in any other bookstore before then. So I decided to get it. And this is also on my TBR for this month, but I don't know if I'll have time to read it. And then we have Love Arranged by Lauren Asher. I kind of just forget that I have this book and that it even exists. I loved her Dreamland Billionaire series, and I still really like her Lakefront Billionaire series. I do just like it a little bit less than Dreamland Billionaires, so I'm not sure if that is kind of why I keep forgetting about it. But I have heard good things about this book, so I'm still looking forward to it, and I still like the series. And then we have Poisoned Ivy by Ava Rainey. This is a romance book with some mystery elements incorporated, and I've actually read quite a few of those this year, and for the most part, I've really liked them, so I'm really looking forward to this one. I've also heard literally nothing but good things about this book. And then we have Fortunate Misfortune by Mia Onsha. Sorry if I mispronounced that. The MMC in this book is actually a swimmer, or a former swimmer, and I feel like I've been begging to see more swimmer romances, so I am really looking forward to this one. And then we have Collide by Ball Cabra. Again, I'm so sorry if I mispronounced that. I am actually shocked that I have not read this book yet. I've been wanting to read it for months. I also see so many people put it up there with DC Stars and Off Campus, which are literally my two favorite hockey series ever. This is one of the only books on my physical TBR that I can 100% guarantee will be read this year. And then we have The Bad Boy Rule by Marin Moore. I actually haven't heard too many people talking about this book. That being said, the people that I have heard talk about this book did seem to really like it. I'm also pretty sure that book 2 recently came out, so hopefully I read this one soon. And then we have Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I've looked at this book in bookstores many times, and every single time I've really debated on getting it, and I end up deciding not to get it. However, I recently won this in a giveaway, and it is the only giveaway that I've ever won. So I think that that is a sign that I do in fact need to read this book. Plus I have it, so obviously I'm gonna read it now. And then we have another Abby Jimenez book, The Night We Met. This is actually my book club read for April. So right after I finish my current read, which is Please Don't Go by E. Salvador, I will be reading this book. I've never actually read an Abby Jimenez book, but this one sounds really good. And then we have Back After This by Linda Holmes. This is another one sent to me by Aardvark Book Club. I will say I have literally never heard of this before I opened the package from them. And I'm not gonna lie, I am slightly confused about the synopsis of the book. I'm pretty sure I understand what the book is about, and if I'm correct, it does sound good, and again, right up my alley, so Aardvark Book Club did really good. And the final book on my physical TBR is Love and Other Brain Experiments by Hannah Brahm. This is the third and final book that Aardvark sent me, and I actually have heard of this one before, and I have been really wanting to read it. So I'm really glad that now I finally have it. Absolutely no idea when I will be getting to it though. And those are the 48 books that I have on my physical TBR. That is 18 books down from last year, and guys, honestly, I'm proud of that. And hopefully when I give you the physical TBR update a year from now, it is even less than that. When I made this video last year, I did go on a book buying ban, but this year that is not happening. I have never, ever stuck to a book buying ban, ever. And I actually think saying that I'm on a book buying ban makes me want to buy books even more. So I'm just not gonna say anything, guys. That is my physical TBR, and that is also all that I have for you guys today. Be sure to like and subscribe and follow my Instagram and my TikTok, which are in the description below for more bookish content. Read a book off your physical TBR this month, guys. I hope you all have a fantastic day. Love you guys. Bye!